Hello and good day to you, everyone. It is good to see you. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Joppa. I appreciate you being here with me today, and we are going to be diving in here very shortly. Very shortly. It is the top of a new week, but it's not just any week. It is 1 week closer to the beginning of EA, and with that comes a lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings, and a whole lot of effort. My sweet Christmas, a whole lot of effort. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I do want to say that, video games
Joke asks, sorry Joppa.
Are tough to make.
This has me laughing today,
but they're a lot of fun.
Didn't need it, but wanted to share. Did you hear about the very old dragon? They said he started Dragon Balls, see?
Oh, man. See, the way Brian said that, I think he understood the joke. I think he understood the joke. That was... The emphases there on the words and the timing and the toning, the tonage. I don't know. I think he knew what he was talking about. Well done, Dayhawk. Nicely done. I want to say this too. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has expressed care for the efforts and the weight that the team is under right now. The video games industry is filled with crunch is not, I mean, even for people that just follow games and development, crunch is something that people are aware of. And it's real. And it's not unique to us. I mean, crunch is real. And it's hard. But I just want to say thank you to all of you who have expressed care, expressed thoughts, well wishes, concerns. We appreciate that. We really do. And we're going strong. We are going strong. And you guys, I gotta say, as hard as it is, the crunch and the games that launch that don't have the kind of community that we have, that don't have the kind of like interaction with the community that we have, and that's got to be so much harder, That's got to be so much harder. So my hat's off to them. But we got a lot to get into today. So before we do that,
Jadian77 asks Joppa again, I'm so very, very sorry for spilling the beans.
Oh. No, you don't need to be sorry, man. You don't need to be sorry. I mean, yes, like things that we do in the VIP channels, things like that, probably a good rule of thumb to like not post it outwards, but it's a little different with me because I approached that conversation the same way I would approach a stream. We didn't talk about anything I wouldn't talk about on stream. So I don't care. I don't mind at all. And I think it's good, and I mean, I guess the only difference is that, unofficial stream versus official Discord, but it's the same me, it's the same conversation, it's the same things I would have said in either setting. And I do tend to be more candid. I tend to be more just kind of, and I've seen a lot of people respond to some of the things like, again, going back to the crunch time reality here, we are doing our level best to move enormous amounts of game updates, changes, data, all this kind of stuff. And, the reality is sometimes signals get crossed. If you look at any other game studio with a game in development, whether it's an indie team or a AAA team, whatever, that kind of stuff happens all the time. it's just not talked about, or it's not, mentioned, or, the community's just left to kind of wonder, like, man, what happened here? Why is this so whatever? It does. It just happens all the time. It's the nature of trying to build these vast things with lots of moving parts. And but funny enough, in the meeting that we had yesterday, we'll get to that in a little bit once we get kind of deeper into some of the decision points and things like that.
Planton_ow asks one improvement that could be made, post EA. Make the culling of object Cs in interview to remove the popping effect it currently has. Remember, with each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, eventually we'll have, something similar to, I think, like World of Warcraft is a good example, where things that load in will fade in instead of just popping in. So it won't be quite as abrupt. That's for sure. I want to give a quick shout out here. Let me just kind of see who all I've got. Tadriel, thanks for the follow. Zazin, thank you for the follow. Caswell EQ, thanks for the follow. Arthax, thank you so much for the raid and welcome in. Sorry I missed that. Thank you for the raid and welcome to you and the viewers coming in. Thank you so much. Fireman17, thank you for the follow. Jay McNasty, thank you for the follow. Dwarfman7, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Appreciate that big time. Big time. That's awesome. And Jadion with the 5 gifted subs. Thank you so much, Jadion. My feed missed that or miscommunicated that, so sorry I missed that as well. Much appreciated. Much appreciated, man. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Night 8, thank you so much for those bits. And Werewolf Sun, thank you for the follow as well. Let's see what we got in chat too. Just really quick like. I may have missed a few people at the top, but I want to say hello to AK, Primus, Beefleur, Tumidin, Krask, Pillord, Ogre2, Dosi, Redbeard, Sinji EQ, Jiraki. Welcome to you all. Thanks for being here. Nivea, Valeru, Nicodemus in the house. What's up, Nicodemus? Black Fox, welcome. Jadion, Clock.
Xpitu asks Joppa, first off, hope you are well, sir. Crunch time. Let's go. Just wondering if you can share the reasoning behind making crafting so much faster? Is this for data purposes?
We'll talk about that in a sec too. Good question. Clanton, welcome. Oak Knower, Crit, Lofter, Spoff, Titan, Albatross. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Campfire Cat, welcome. Caswell EQ, Hellgear, Row, Crazy Brace. Good to see you. Good to see you. Mox, welcome. Trexid, what's going on? Keith P, welcome. Zelius, Dayhawk, Nevar 808, Ixar in the house, Joskar, Unka, welcome. Megabytes, Kronzik, Scandrake. Will the spell Locate Corpse and Summon Corpse be added to the Necroclass during EQ? Locate Corpse, probably not. Summon Corpse, yes. Cal's, welcome. Calico Bard, welcome. Dwarfman, Lord Smiter, welcome indeed. Zeralus, Trojan Man, MDI, welcome. Sumina, welcome, welcome. Iced to Black. We have got a full house. Awesome. Low 2 with the raid. Thank you so much for the raid, Low 2. Welcome to all of the viewers. I appreciate you guys coming on in. Zazin, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Appreciate that big time. Welcome, Grix. Mr. IT Wiz Gaming, welcome. typing with one. Welcome, Dobby. Welcome. My dog's name is Dobby, by the way. Raziel, welcome to you as well. Dougbug, Lord Smiter, Paticus, Torque to Tank, welcome. Rangers probably won't get Track Corps, they'll get Conjure Corps. I think Rangers will get Conjure Corps.
Calico Obbod asks, any chance we see level 20 plus rogues skills before EA?
Yes. Yes, indeed. Jay McNasty, thanks so much for the Prime sub. Nilo, I did. I started before you went to bed today. That's awesome. Good, good, good. All right. So, by the way, if I missed you, it is not intentional. I apologize. I appreciate all of you so much for being here. And looking forward to getting into some things today. Just as a quick housekeeping item as far as the streams go. I've said this, I think, on stream. I know I've posted it in the Discord. As you guys can imagine, these next few weeks are going to be crazy. We've got holiday stuff that we're navigating. We've also got, this incredible milestone that we're crunching to here very shortly. So streams are going to be, in most cases, are going to be shorter. Not going to stream for as long. I'm going to try to keep up the same. I mean, this week probably not with Thanksgiving, but I'm going to try to keep 2 to 3 streams per week, especially once the first hits. As I've said, I think it's going to be important to kind of keep you guys connected to where things are at and what's going on. But just be prepared. The streams will be a little bit shorter over these few weeks. And the other thing to keep in mind, too, is that these streams over the next few weeks will likely be, the majority of it will just be us kind of conversing. I will have some things to show here and there as we go along. But a lot of the stuff that I'm starting to work on and focus on are things that I don't really want to show on stream. These are things like itemizing NPCs. I want those things to be largely something that you guys can enjoy and explore and discover on your own. Things like quests, perception content, things like that. So
asks, I listened to the recent YouTube video about the patch discussion. What are the odds all the talk of itemization will make it into the game on EA? I do also agree and wish there was more gear out in the world. I feel everyone has the same items equipped. All in all, it was a great chat and hope to hear more of those in the future.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I really, really did. I love this community. I love talking to this community. The feedback is good. Don't let anybody, talk down to you about your feedback or what kind of feedback you're giving or what manner you're giving it or what expectations you have. I mean, the reality is this, people are who they are. They come from whatever perspective they come from. So, obviously, we'll draw a line in certain extreme places. It's not all about, getting in and just ripping people up, personal attacks, things like that. But beyond those extreme lines, everybody's an iceberg, everybody's coming from such different backgrounds, such different come-froms, and the way people respond to and take feedback is going to be different. And part of my job is to learn how to listen to and receive feedback from lots of different places, from lots of different people, lots of different emotions and bents and whatever, and process that and understand that. And so, again, all feedback is good. Constructive criticism is good. It's our job to parse through, emotion and exaggeration and hyperbole and various things. But the feedback has all been really, really good, very helpful to us. And I'll spend some time today. That's kind of the goal for today, is to talk through some of what that discussion was about, and then kind of where we've landed on the other side of that, which I think is in a really good spot. So yeah, Clavius007, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Net Nightmare, thank you for the follow. Thanks for being here. Faithful Wanderer, thank you as well for the follow. Appreciate that. Sergeant Sausage CTV, yes, you can play this now by pledging directly, but it is shutting down on December the 1st for a little bit, and then we're starting our EA, our early access, on December the 13th on Steam, so you'll be able to pick it up on Steam. Hope we'll get a breather after launch. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny because, I mean, obviously, the week immediately after launch is going to be crazy. We'll take some time off at Christmas as much as we can, you know, for Christmas time and some of that stuff. I need that. I definitely am going to need that. My family's going to need that. So I will definitely be doing that, and I know several of the others of us will. But the goal is going to be from the 13th until, you know, when those days come, that we're absolutely just doing everything we can to make sure things are stable, make sure everybody can play, make sure people are being processed properly. It's going to be, you know, it's going to be. It's not the full launch of the game, but it's kind of a practice round in a way when it comes to like the back end stuff and all the systems and authentication and all that stuff. Not to mention the server architecture and, you know, being able to dynamically roll up and account for, you know, swells and population and things like that. But to say, the key is going to be, after that holiday respite, what I'm really pushing for, and, you know, I think everybody's on the same page in terms of the different parts of the house, but what I'm really pushing for is, I want us, so we're going to reach EA, we're going to hit our marks, but as you guys are probably aware, it's not going to be as full and as polished and as complete as we would like. I think it's going to be more so than what a lot of people probably thought it was going to be. And I think that will prove true here in the coming days and, you know, weeks leading up to EA, as we, you know, kind of all these pieces and plates that are spinning, some that you guys are aware of, some that you're not, but they kind of all coalesce in that final few days, few moments where it all kind of comes together. We've got, you know, these 2 weeks where the servers are going to be down, that we're going to be able to focus on putting everything through its paces, smoke testing everything, all that. But what I really think should happen, and I think it's going to be really important, especially on the Steam platform, is getting into a very consistent cadence of updates, and as often as possible. Not so much that it's messy, and absolutely with, you know, a process and a procedure. We can't be as messy as we are right now. We have to be, you know, very clean about how we do those things. But I think if we can take the 2-3 months after after EA begins and flesh out everything that we've released, to the point where, you know, it's fully kind of complete, polished, and build that expectation with the community and the growing community that we are active, we're, you know, energetic. We're not a, you know, an EA project that gets it out the door and then it's like, okay, you know, we can relax. Like we're responsive, we're communicative, we're energetic, we're active, and we're, you know, that consistent kind of flow of update, I think it's going to be really important, especially in the beginning, because there will come points in time where we need to slow down for, you know, a period of time to, like, for example, like when we update to Unity 6, for example, which we need to do for some of our water stuff that we want, and other like really significant performance optimizations. I would rather something like that come later and spend that first month, 2, maybe 3, whatever it is, really kind of having a consistent update schedule. Because I think for newcomers, it's going to do a lot.
Doug27 asks, do you think Steam community will become the primary area of communication?
I don't know. Honestly, don't know. Hey, what's up, Curious? Yeah, Valerie, I did as well. Bronson types, a tired, withered man drags himself into the room. With a single exhausted motion, he turns onto his side, curls up into a fetal position, and releases a pathetic fart. Thanks, Bronson. Appreciate it. Appreciate that, Bronson. No, Redbeard, it won't. In fact, it probably makes it worse, you know, because it really kind of gets them all out. Let's see. If we have a pledge account at the moment, will we be able to access the game through Steam, or do we have to keep using the standalone installer? I think the plan is at some point to like connect game accounts that have not been purchased through Steam with a Steam key, I think. Hope I'm not wrong on that. That's a level of discussion that is kind of noise to me right now. Like, I don't really lean into that all that much. So we'll see. But it's not right away.
Clanton_ow asks, honestly, my hope from EA is also that you get more funding. You guys need and deserve more muscles, flexed biceps.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Hit you with a flex? Nah. There's nothing impressive about my flexing. Inicky23, can't wait for EA to start playing a bit more. Are we getting better movement? Idle player animations for EA, they look a bit stiff, odd, especially when running. Animation, like our animation team is one of the places where I feel our like lack of resources the most, like just having more animators and also like having more opportunity to focus on, instead of new animations, focus on polishing existing animations. Animation, from my experience on this project, which other projects and processes might be different, but from my experience, they're very iterative. They go through, several rounds of improving and even sometimes very small tweaks to slowly dial them in. So the answer is yes, not at the start of EA. Don't expect a lot of animation updates or changes by the start of EA, but definitely expect during EA for there to be several passes on improving animation timing, how they blend with each other. There's still a lot of room for improvement there as far as animations go. Castwell EQ, yes. There's also planned that we would have a true first-person view where the weapons and some of the different movements are visible in first person. Yeah. So, are you tracking the Necro and AVP for a quest spawns 3 level 40-ish elite pets when he is a low level 20-ish mob? Huh? Nani? I'm not.
Xpitu asks any chance of
note of
being
that.
able to move our skills and abilities to whichever bar we want, of course, with limited action set.
Beat Flora, thank you so much for that gifted sub, by the way. Appreciate that very, very much. Very much. Nani? The Dark Agent in AVP? Is it actually in AVP? Okay. Alrighty. Yep, and it'll tear you a new one. Good. Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, Dougbug, that's I think it's really key. And one of the reasons is because we're trying to the reality with Steam, as you know, is that Steam puts you in a position where the Pantheon is going to be in the public eye in a way that it never has been before, and that it's going to be susceptible to review. It's going to be susceptible to not just review, but it's going to be susceptible to people potentially wielding reviews to try and harm the game.
Clock Pantheon asks warrior banners are 30 seconds duration. This is obnoxious. It's essentially a war cry in the way the play feels. What would your thoughts be if I put down a banner, it was permanent, but my maximum battle points went from 5 to 4 or 3?
It is a thought. It's a thought that we've had. To be completely candid, the 30-second duration is literally just a management tool to get them out and into the world and being tested, not necessarily indicative of like the long-term use for them. Because I do agree, depending on how, the battlefield commander, a lot of the tactical aspects of the warrior is, you kind of set your chess pieces where you want them to be, and then you work to kind of keep the fight collaborated around or calibrated around those pieces. So the short duration makes that difficult to do. So I absolutely think eventually we will move towards a system where banners can be placed and will remain there for some kind of a period of time that is more conducive to how long fights can take and camps and things like that. I don't necessarily want to see them persisting for hours on end. Like if you have your camp set up and you just kind of place your banners down where you want them to be, and you just kind of stay in that same static kind of mode during your time in a camp or anything like that. So I don't know that I want them to necessarily be permanent. But definitely they definitely need to be longer than they are. Yeah, I understand the management kind of doesn't feel great right now. Virulent Tropism, thank you so much for the tier 1.
Edie asks, hey Joppa, will there be any new Dialord abilities before 1st December?
Mm-hmm. Oh, before 1st of December. I don't know. Iniki, I completely agree with you. I completely agree. Shaman and Druids will get red. Shaman already have res, and Druids will get them as well. So, okay, Enchanter Mez. Here, I'm going to turn off text to speech here just for a little bit, guys. I'm going to respond to a few of these things, and then I'm going to get into a little bit more like just kind of an information dump on some stuff, and then I'll turn it back on here in a sec. Hold on.
Hello 90 asks, hi Joppa, regarding the power, stats and level, please consider not giving stats per level, but make a calculation for the effective, then that takes level into account. So instead of it being HP equals 10 plus start, make it something along the lines of HP equals 10 plus start level C being some constant that makes the effect meaningful, and do that to all effects of the stats. In that way the 1 STR you get at level 1 is meaningful and felt all the way.
Maybe. I think the stats and the progression thing. I think you guys might feel a little bit differently about things once we kind of go over some of the direction. I want to do that a little bit today, and just some of the decision points that we made yesterday based on all the amazing feedback that we've gotten. But yeah, maybe. So, first, let me find what I was going to respond to here real quick. Oh yeah, the Enchanter, the diminishing returns. Okay, so real quick note on that. We're trying to bring the Enchanter and the crowd control role back, and make it a dedicated role, right? So it's not like other games don't have plenty of CC and classes that can do CC and things like that, but we're trying to make it into a full role. But this is one place where it's really important to highlight the difference between EverQuest and Pantheon. Whereas EverQuest no diminishing return on Mez. There was no Mez tax. I think there was a limit on how high something could be before you could Mez it. I mean, that part I need to revisit. But Pantheon's different, and it's different enough in the round per round combat, and because of that, it's very different in the way we find players utilizing abilities. One of the things that we found with Mez is that players were using it to essentially to interrupt abilities, to interrupt spells, and we have found that over and over and over again that players will utilize non-interrupts and all kinds of different non-interrupt abilities to interrupt and to kind of control the flow of combat that way. And so what we've done with Mez is we've given it diminishing returns, but that diminishing return only kicks in if you Mez it again within a 30-second period. So by the time you're getting to the point so first of all, it's only the higher level Mezes that have diminishing returns. By the time you get into that level of Mez, the duration of the Mez lasts longer than the diminishing return window. The only time that you're going to hit diminishing returns is if you're using Mez as an interrupt. If you're using it that way, which you still can, but it's going to potentially incur that. But also, it actually adds an additional level of punishment, I guess you could say, to Mez being broken. So if you have somebody that's not paying attention and breaking Mez, and you have to remez that target, that's, a part of the challenge in the tactical aspect of group play, that, it has that extra level of there's an extra consequence. But again, if you're using Mez the way it's intended, and well, I mean, I shouldn't even say the way it's intended, because it's not, you have the choice. Like, you can use it as an interrupt if you want to. And this same rule needs to apply, to other things like fear and things like that as well, where but not so much with fear, because Mez, like fear and root and these other things, have built-in chances to break. They have, other things that govern how likely they are to break. Whereas right now, if you Mez something, as long as you've got the mana to maintain it and you get that Mez to land, there's, a very high probability that Mez is going to last the full duration. So Mez is a little bit different in that regard to some of the other, some of the other CC type abilities. But that was the reasoning behind it. That was the thought process behind it, is to, we're not trying to make you play a certain way, but we're trying to incorporate certain consequences and outcomes where you're not just mindlessly kind of using it however best suits you in the moment. If you want to use Mez to interrupt, okay. But if you end up needing to Mez that target, then you're cutting into some of that Mez duration by doing that. So there is a choice that you're making there. But changes like this are things that it's important to give it some time to cook, because the immediate response to things like this is often to view it very negatively. But in reality, it's important to see how much is this actually changing the play experience? How much? Because remember, as an enchanter, you have other tools as well. You are going to soon have charm. You've got interrupts. You've got, different additional forms of mez that are going to be taking shape in the class that aren't just the straight mez that you have here. They're going to have a lot of tools. And so it's just, it's important to let these things cook. It's not an immutable change. I mean, I want to make that clear too, for those of you that are concerned about it. Like, it's not an immutable change, but when you have something as powerful as Mez that can be used in multiple different ways, it's the same way that necromancers were using their crippling terror, right? They were using it to kind of spam interrupt targets. And the way the Pantheon's mechanics are, when you can utilize abilities in multiple different ways, we can either try to manage that through like the mechanics of the ability itself, or changing a lot of different levers to try to manage it that way. But at the end of the day, I don't like enchanters using Mesmerize to interrupt casting with no consequence. That was just a little bit. It was a little much. You'd love to have aggro from a break and broken Messer Charm go to the breaker. That's, yeah. How this game was not on my radar, I have no idea, but if I buy a supporter pack, are servers up, or are y'all just preparing for the 12/13 EA launch that Steam says? Okay, so I'm going to say something kind of unpopular here, and hopefully my team and my company don't think I'm crazy, but at this point, yes, you could buy a pledge and start playing today, but servers are coming down on December 1st, and they're going to be down for nearly 2 weeks until EA starts. So it's completely up to you. You can get the $50 pledge today. Buying it that way does give you two game keys. So it's a great deal. But just be aware that there's only a few days left, and then the servers come down. Now here's just a general comment I want to make, okay? And here's, honestly, I've raised my voice and rattled the cage pretty hard internally on this, and it kind of is what it is. But here's the situation that we're in, right? There's a lot of people that have bought Pantheon, bought pledges, to play the game, and that's an amazing thing. I mean, we have seen our player population go up like crazy. It's been really heartening. It's been really good. When EA launches on Steam, we move into this new era where we want the game to grow, right? Like, we want the game to continue to grow. Obviously Pantheon's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But I know that there are a significant amount of people out there, who would say something similar to what you just said, Ninwa, which is like, I had no idea. I've never heard of this game. I had no idea about it. I mean, you just look at how many people played EQ, how many people played Classic World of Warcraft, how many people played Vanguard. I mean, there's a lot of people out there. So it's very likely that there are still quite a few people that haven't heard of it. The part that bothers me is if you buy a pledge, and there's no question that the pledge is the better deal, right? Because you're paying $50, you're getting 2 game keys. It's absolutely the better deal than buying it on Steam. The problem is, if you don't buy it on Steam, then you can't review the game. And What I don't want to see is, people there's the majority of people that buy the game are going to be in the game enjoying playing the game, right? They're not going to be worried about going and looking at Steam. The people that are browsing Steam and see Pantheon, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that have a lot of energy to try and, to see a game crash and burn by doing everything that they can to, drive those reviews up and down. Now, I want to be really clear. That's not a doom and gloom situation, okay? And you guys need to prepare yourself. You need to prepare yourself for seeing reviews do some pretty crazy things early on. It's very possible that Pantheon could go into the mostly negative. It's very possible, depending on how many people have an energy out there to see that happen. The thing you have to remember is you've seen games like No Man's Sky. You've seen games like Final Fantasy XIV. You've seen games even like Brighter Shores and other games that have, for whatever reason, whether the doneness of the game or, the ire of the community that has come out against it or whatever, you've seen games that have gone way, way into the negative, whether it was merited or not, and then come back from that. Because what I'm hoping and what I'm trusting is that I have seen so many people come through my chat who have said, like, I had completely written this game off. This game was nothing but a meme to me. Like, nothing. Come and say, but either from watching your streams or had a buddy that played it, or I played it myself finally. Now I see it. Like, now I get it. And is it perfect? Absolutely not. Does it need a lot of work still? Absolutely it does. But now I can see it and I'm on board. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see where it goes. I fully expect once the game is available, most of the people, and I think this is true pretty commonly, you're always going to have a population of people that for whatever reason, they are absolutely sold out and committed to hating on something, and there's no way to change it because the whole reason they're there is literally to hate on it. That's what they get their enjoyment of it from. Or there's other motives as well. Who knows? But I do think the majority of people, and even people that might throw a negative on this right away, we will eventually be able to kind of win them over in the end by continuing to flesh out and build out this game. Because at the end of the day, what people want is a good game at the end of the day. And yes, the history is what it is. Yes, the frustration and the pain points along the way are what they are. But at the end of the day, it's about having a game that people want to play. And if it's a good game and there's enough people that are able to say from experience, yes, it's a good game, I do think we can ultimately win that battle of seeing, the reviews. And I'm not expecting overly positive, overwhelmingly positive ever. I don't think MMO, I don't know of an MMO or even a game in this vein. I mean, I'm like, I might even be happy with mixed reviews, long term. Who knows? Because so much of this game's life, I think, is going to be in the word of mouth, grassroots, like kind of situation. And then as it grows, it grows. I absolutely want it to be successful, and I want it to be successful as soon as possible because I want our team to be able to grow so we can do all of these things faster. But I'm also very comfortable and very at peace with this being a slow burn over time thing. But anyway, I'm not going to go any further on that. I'm saying all that to say, as you guys are going to be a part of this journey with us, don't be surprised when you see ups and downs and highs and lows like that. Obviously, we will appreciate any and each and every one of you that is able to do, whether it's reviewing the game honestly, but, reviewing it positively, if that's your honest feeling. And being a presence there, to tell other people about the game and, various things like that. I mean, that's the lifeblood of any game, really. But just, it's a journey, and this next phase is going to be, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm excited about it. It's going to be a wild ride for sure. But yeah, it's going to throw all that out there. Throw all that out there. Yeah, boop doop, for sure. Yeah, Atacan. It's it's a lot of it is internet culture. Honestly, a lot of it's internet culture. It's why would anyone hate on a game? Because, I mean, I've done it before. Vanguard drew a lot of ire out of me. And honestly, a lot of what I'm trying to do, both through the stream and just like interacting with the community and all this stuff, I'm trying to do what I wish they had done with Vanguard. Because what I saw with Vanguard was just a bunch of people screaming into the void, and there was no real sense of like we're in this together. Like, we're going to work to like make this right together. There are legitimate reasons to be upset with the game. There are legitimate reasons to be upset with developers. There absolutely are. And for people that have been waiting for Pantheon a really, really long time and have seen missteps, have seen mistakes, have seen decisions that, especially from the outside in, looked like were crazy. I can't help but empathize with anyone who would have those kinds of feelings. What I'm hoping for, what I'm holding out for, is that the game can ultimately win those people over. That they can somehow make peace with the fact that this green development team who was probably way in over their head at the beginning and struggled to kind of figure things out along the way, has insisted on riding the ship over and over again as best they can to make sure that this game happens. And were there parts that were frustrating? Absolutely. Were there parts that I wanted to just, shake them like a dog? Of course. But at the end of the day, they are sticking with it. They're doing their best to hear from the people that are following the game. They're doing their best to make it right. And so hopefully that'll be enough. We'll see. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to keep going on that. Two Scales, thank you for the follow. Eli Green, thank you for the follow. Mr. Fisty, Ninwa, thank you so much for the follows. Thanks for being here. Very Vexing, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. It is much appreciated. Iniki23, thank you for the follow as well. Thank you all. Yeah, Redbeard, that's kind of my expectation as well. And I think I don't think mixed reviews are super off-putting when it comes to Steam. I think a lot of times mixed reviews will just lead to potential players digging a little deeper. And that's where I feel like our community and the people that are playing Pantheon really shine, is in the ability in those forums and in some of those community areas to really paint a good picture of what the game is, to maybe get somebody over that hump. So I'm definitely confident, but I'm also bracing for those first few weeks to be interesting, I guess, to say the least. Yep. Dude, thanks so much for the follow. Virulent Tropism, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. I appreciate that. Big time. Thank you. Thank you. So let's talk about the patch. Let's talk about the patch. Trexit says, Joppa, we believe in you and the team and the vision of the game. The draw for the folks here now is that you interact with us, take in feedback, and are transparent in progress, milestones, and challenges. My hope for the Steam release is that new people will see the vision and your dedication to the community and game and realize they can be a participant in building Pantheon with us. Just remember, we'll still be cheering you onward, even while the Steam goblins are attacking the ramparts. Thank you, Trexit. Appreciate that. Nicodemus, I would like to. I think that would be good. I mean, I'm not going to share any numbers right now, but I would say like even just like if I were to share the wish listing numbers, I think it would be very encouraging to people. So numbers are good. Numbers can be encouraging. But I haven't gotten the green light to share those yet. Yep. Okay, let's talk about the patch. Let me see if I can boil this down to like a very clean and clear explanation of why I think this last patch felt so bad. And it's very simply this. The changes that came with the patch. Well, let me step back even one step further. This patch was premature. It was premature because the patch was pushed for reasons beyond just the consideration of where we were in this itemization work that we're doing. But the point being, it was premature. And the reason it was premature is because all of the changes that you guys are feeling is because the piece that's missing is all of the additional itemization that the game needs. It literally can be summed up that easily. There is no longer any natural scaling that happens from leveling, right? We've removed natural scaling. There has been some reduction to stat allocations on gear as well. There's been reductions to damage, weapon damage, things like that as well. All of that has been to make room for itemization that will come in and allow for progression. But that is missing in the current build. So literally, all of those changes that have been made to balance the game went in with this patch. And none of the itemization that you need to be able to now progress the way that you're meant to is in the game. So that's why it feels so bad. And when I say feel so bad, it does not mean necessarily that you're not able to get things done. It just means that special kind of like X factor of the game, of those dopamine hits of like feeling like you're looting something, you're getting something that's making your character stronger. That's missing because so much of that itemization is missing. Caswell EQ, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. Sanguine Warrior, thanks for the follow. Thank you for being here. Yeah, the incremental progression. So, here's some of the things that we've done and that we're in the process of doing right now. as we're just continuing to complete these overall itemization changes. Number one, we have heard you guys, that auto attack damage feels pretty rough. And weapons therefore feel pretty rough. So one of the changes that we've already made is we are, number one, reducing the speed, the weapon delay. We're increasing weapon delay across the board a little bit, because right now, another thing that has just kind of been uncovered and more clearly seen over the last few days with all this feedback and various things is that the starting points for our weapon delays are too low. And because they're so low, it makes the differentiation between the weapons feel kind of meh, and it ultimately doesn't give us a lot of room to have improvements to our weapons. We initially lowered the delay of our weapons when we did that most recently across the board, because the feeling in the early game especially was that there was a lot of like just characters standing around in combat and not a lot of attack rounds. So in hindsight, I think we made that decision a little bit too much on the aesthetic kind of feel front. So what we've done is we've walked that back. So, and part of the reason for that is because the intention is for every class, at level 1, when they come out of the gate, to have at least one technique and one ability that they're able to use in combat. And so even that alone, that feeling of standing around, not doing much, is offset a lot by the abilities that you have and the technique that you have. So if anything, it gives just a nicer window of time in between auto attack swings for some of those other things to happen. But the other thing we're doing in increasing the delay somewhat is we're also increasing the weapon damage quite a bit. So the auto attack damage now should start feeling much more substantial. And I do think it's a very psychosomatic kind of situation because, and I hope I'm using that word properly, I'm probably not, but when we do parses, the contribution of auto attacks for players and classes right now is actually pretty high. It's pretty high. But I think because the damage numbers have been so low, it hasn't felt that way. And so the goal with these changes is that now when you get a weapon upgrade, and as you move through these, tiers of itemization weapon-wise, that it's going to feel the numbers that you're going to be seeing from your autos are going to be, they're going to remain substantial, but they're going to be higher. And the weapon delay helps us, kind of dial that in as well. So that's the first change. But the second change, which is really important, is right now, the attribute growth that you guys have is very low because there's so much itemization missing from the game. And we discussed a lot yesterday how to address that. And like where we ultimately landed is the fact that there simply is not enough itemization in the game for the kind of game that we're building. Again, very much on EverQuest roots, but with a different expression in terms of the way stats are weighted. Stats just matter a lot more. They matter a lot more for your performance. They matter a lot more to the feel of progression. And so those stats from itemization being missing are causing players to just not feel really much of a difference at all as they're progressing and leveling up because there's no gear increasing your stats. And the gear that is increasing your stats is often very much pigeonholed into a couple of core attributes. And so you can have situations where players are in their 30s, they have, a good amount of agility and dexterity, but they don't have any strength because of the way the itemization is set up. And so they're not feeling like they're getting much stronger because all the gear options that they have, there's so little gear that actually affords them strength that they're not feeling much of a difference. So I want to try and show and tell instead of just like explaining. So let me do a little bit of that. Just kind of like show one of the ways that we're starting to address this, and we'll be moving through kind of the addressing it in the way that I'm about to show here. These lower levels will be, kind of continuing this paradigm on through. Hey, thanks, Finn. Take care, man. We're not limiting progress to gear. That's not what we're doing. We're solving one of the aspects of progress which has been a problem with gear. It's not only going to come through gear. There are going to be opportunities. I'm not sure yet when we're going to get this in, for example, but there are going to be opportunities for you, most likely every 5 levels, to invest an attribute point where you want to invest it. Obviously, there's buffs as well, and higher level buffs affording higher level attribute bonuses. The only thing happening here, and again, remember, we're basing this largely on EverQuest in a lot of ways as well, which did not have innately scaling attributes. Your attributes didn't just go up automatically as you leveled up. But we do want to have a little bit of that, where by giving you an opportunity every few levels to invest a point. I don't think mastery missing is affecting this, to be honest. I don't think mastery missing is like a big piece to this puzzle, because the goal with mastery is to move it away from like just direct power upgrades. There will be some, but it's not going to be the kind of thing where it's like, invest a mastery point here and get 5% more damage, 10% more damage, 20% more damage, things like that. Okay, let's take a look at some of this. So first of all, what weapons do I have? Well, actually, these aren't the starter weapons. So let me find... This brittle hatchet is a starter hatchet. So this axe is now at 3.2 delay. This is the new delay on a one-handed axe. 1 second. Who's blocked? Who's trolling? I didn't see any trolling. What's going on? I haven't blocked anybody. Rusted Great Axe, 2 weapons. This is the 4.2 delay. And you can see the damage has gone up as well, right? And this is like a level 1 weapon. So we'll just take a quick look at like how this feels. Yeah, 3.2 delay for a slower one-hander. But remember, with that delay change, the damage has gone up as well, and the damage is going up significantly. So expect, yeah, this is a two-handed axe. We have a little bit of an animation issue with the two-handed axes. Yeah, it's real bad. It's like a baseball bat two-hander. Yeah, let's look at the one-hander speed now. So this is what the one-handed axe, the new one-handed axe speed. My readiness generation is really slow because I'm not actually in combat. Let's change that. The bat is out healing my damage because it's out of combat, so it had out of combat regeneration rate. I'm also level 9, by the way, so let me actually let me de-level here. I think this pace is so much better, and you have to remember too, like this is level 1, so we've got to keep that in mind. Like as you level up, as you get better gear, as you get haste, as you get, you know, these things start affecting you, we have to have some room for there to be some progression there. So let's now, here I am at level 1. Oh. Let's just take a look at the, here we go. Man, we've got to fix the weapon disappearing during melee abilities. It drives me crazy. Yeah, I know. Slog beetle level 1. Say instant cheek clap. Let me do something same level. Actually, wait. Let me take some of this off. Should take it all off for now. Level 1 naked. Starter axe. Aggro on. So this is the brand new starting weapon, right? Let me rephrase that. This is the starting axe with the new delay, and I mean, I think the damage is the same as the normal starting axe. But we're going through this right now as a quick baseline because I'm going to show you guys something here in a second. My inventory's full. Well, I will show it on a Chevron mob. Yeah, there's no real Chevron mobs at level 1, so I'm just showing the baseline level 1 stuff right now. You guys are all very used to, by now, you know, fighting your skeletons and fighting the psychosis. Oh, thank you so much. I wasn't aware that the damage was lower too. Okay, so I'm on immortal right now. I'm not going to die. These things won't kill me. But yeah, the brittle axe on the live server right now is 2.2 delay, 2 damage. The axe now with the changes is 3.2 delay, 3 damage. So it's got a point extra damage, and you're, you know, a second slower, and you're swinging. Okay, so I've gotten a little bit of armor from these skellies. Gotten some wrists. I've gotten some pants. Nice. The actually, I'm trying to keep all of this like a surprise, guys. Come on, I keep it a surprise. All right. Now, yeah, crafting is going to go through the same process. And one of the things that we've got to do, which will make more sense as I show you what I'm about to show you here, is doing the equivalent with crafting. We want there to be things that you are excited about making right out of the gate, just like there are things that you're excited about finding. There's a rumor going around that I don't like crafting, and that's absolutely not true. I don't personally craft, like I don't typically craft in these games, but I love crafting systems, and I love the fact that there is crafting in a game, and I like being able to interact with crafting as a non-crafter. The problem that I've had with crafting is number one, the idea that you'd be able to customize stats on weapon and armor. We've moved away from that. So that was a big issue that I had. Number two, it's when there is such a saturation, both either of adventuring or crafting gear, such that there's no real need to interact with or engage with either of the systems. So the approach that we have, that we're working with now, I think is so much better to make sure that both spheres are like very much in and pumping as, you know, alive parts of like the game and progression from the beginning. I think it's just gonna work so much better, and consequently, I'm very excited about it. Now, here's what I want to start showing you. Where do you go to start getting gear? Like right out of the gate, right? You've got your starter weapon. It's proving obviously to be very effective in combat, you know, fighting level 1 NPCs. So I'm able to get out. I'm able to start leveling up. I've got a couple of pieces. I mean, I've killed, you know, a skelly. I've killed whatever. What I'm hoping that the changes we're making now are going to do, and how they're going to start conditioning the player base, is that when you go and you start fighting some of these earliest level group encounters, I want to show you what to experience here, what the experience here is going to be like. First of all, shadowy mavens enter the fray. Okay, so I'm fighting these things. I'm getting obliterated. Warriors are OP, I know. My goodness, cooldown on this thing. Woo! All right, hold on. Let me address this real quick. My goodness. And by cooldown, I mean no cooldown. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, she's out of mana now. So. Later. Okay, so we take these guys down. I'm in a group. We're fighting. We've killed a couple of burglars here. Taking down the shadowy maven. I've got to fix these capsules. My goodness. All right, so coin. Okay, rusted dagger. Haven't updated the... Need to update that one still. Actually, before I go any further with this, let me make sure... Hold on. Make sure those changes are live real quick. Alright, hold on. What is he deleting? What'd you do to my dread? No. 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 One thing I don't like about Odin is I can't tell it where to put the delete window, so I have to constantly fish from one monitor to the other if I've got things on this second monitor. Okay. Last one here. Okay. Good. We're as naked as Omaztol. Sanguine Warrior and Drake. Thank you for the follows, by the way. Uh-oh. Maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they didn't see it. You guys didn't see that. I just remembered one more thing I have to do here. I'm going to be ruining a few of the surprises here in order to show you guys what kind of things to expect. Okay? There we go. So, if I'm here with a group, we're taking these things down. Oh, okay. Okay. Let's check something. Yep. Okay. Okay, look. One sec. I'm back. Okay. So, what do we see here? We see a pair of leather gloves with a stat on it. So I'm in here fighting, you know, group content, got some scuffed gloves, and I've got my first stat. Let's keep going. Oh yeah, I forgot I'm so used to like having to click these things. I forgot I bound it to my mouse. All right, you know, so we did the whole camp. Got one piece of loot out of that. Let's go check the other bandit area. Yep, Mina, that's correct. That is correct. Monks are able to wear light leather. Okay. Killed a shadowy thug. Split neck axe. So, just got a split neck axe. 5 damage, 3.1 delay. Compared to my 3 damage, 3.2 delay. So it's slightly faster. Definitely better damage. I'm going to do a few more of these and then, oh, the ringleader's up. I'm going to do a few more of these and then I'm going to explain a little bit behind what you're seeing. Though I think most of you can probably pick up on it by now. Oh, a splintering club. Okay. So this splintering club is same thing. 5 damage, 3.2 delay. All right, it's actually it's 1 slower than this axe. So 5 damage, 3.2 delay versus 5 damage, 3.1, but it's still a 5 damage weapon. Not quite as fast as the axe, but it's still a lot higher damage. If I'm able to dual wield, which I can't yet, well, technically I guess I can because of the leveling down, but now I've gotten, you know, 2 weapons that are nice incremental upgrades. I don't know, Redbeard. Maybe. Man, that guy took some pain on that one. Okay, got a weathered club. This one is a basic weapon. So that's going to be part of this process. Is we don't have color ratings, right? Like you don't see green or blue or purple or anything like that. So what do you do in a situation like this? You just looted a splintering club that's 5 damage, 3.2 delay, and now we've just looted a weathered club, 3 damage, 3.2 delay. So obviously one of them is better. What you're seeing here is the introduction of an uncommon tier of itemization. And this uncommon tier of itemization is coming in a way to become much more prevalent. This is going to be the way that, as opposed to, you know, innately just your attributes going up when you level, you'll be able to invest attribute points here and there along the way every 5 levels or so once we get that in. But there is now going to be this whole new tier of itemization that sits in between common, which is what this is, and rare, and then, you know, ultra rare and legendary and all that kind of stuff that comes later. And again, those are more internal, like, labels. They're not player facing, obviously, but I'm just saying that because that's how we think of things internally. But the other important thing here is this, and this is something that I'm working a lot on right now, that my goal by EA is to have this everywhere that we have content, okay? And I want to see if this resonates with you guys. In this camp right here, for example, you've got shadowy thugs. I've added the shadowy mavens to give like a caster oriented NPC in here that is capable. Oh, see, case in point. Grassweave pants, +1 intellect. Boom. So if you've got a caster in your group, now all of a sudden the maven has dropped something that you can wear, and boom, you've got your first point of intelligence. It's very small, but it gives you that, like, oh, sweet. You know, I can equip this immediately. It's got a graphic on it. It gives me a little bit of intelligence. Or you can sell it. You can sell it. Because do you guys notice something else? What's missing? No level restrictions, baby. We're back. We're so back. We're so back. Now, some of you noticed earlier, Hotshot Salisa, right? In addition to adding this uncommon tier of itemization, yeah, hot salsa. That's who it was, hot salsa. I'm also going through and I'm adding an uncommon tier of NPC. And this is the part that I think is kind of cool. And this is my nod and my acknowledgement of those of you who want to see some non-camping elements in the game, some more dynamic type stuff. These are unique NPCs, and what I mean by unique is they can spawn in multiple places. In fact, they can spawn in multiple camps. Like Hotshot can spawn here in this bandit camp, and she can spawn over in the other one as well. They're unique, meaning that only one of them can be up at a time. And they have their own special loot pool of only uncommons, meaning you're not going to see any commons drop off of them. They don't have any rares or higher, but they have all uncommons, and they have a unique uncommon loot table. So the uncommons that you're able to get off of these NPCs here, like the ones we've looted, those unique NPCs, those uncommon NPCs, will have their own set of unique uncommon items that only they drop, but they have that kind of dynamic spawn location. So very similar to silver mobs, exactly, to silver rares in WoW, except with our itemization, my hope is that they will feel even more impactful. Even more impactful. There are only a few pieces of the grassweave. Now, I'll give you an example of how in this particular camp it works. There are 4 pieces of grassweave armor. There are 4 pieces of scuffed armor and 4 pieces of fitted bandit armor. And they coincide with different archetypes. because that's kind of how, at least for now, that's how we're handling the uncommon stuff. So for example, the scuffed armor, and it's the same 4 slots. It's chest, legs, feet, and hands. The scuffed armor can have 2 of the pieces have +1 strength, 2 of the pieces have +1 stamina. The fitted bandit armor, 2 of the pieces have +1 dex, 2 of the pieces have +1 agility. And then the grass weave, 2 of them have +wisdom, 2 of them have +int. Those are the only pieces that will drop here. But the uncommon NPCs that spawn, there's 2 of them. Hotshot Salus is one of them. The other one you haven't seen yet. But they can drop two additional uncommon pieces of this set that only they drop. So for example, like the hood and the bracer only drop off of Hotshot. So you can, go through this whole time without seeing her, and you're not going to see those items, but they're only on her, and same with the other one. And then one of the most important things is how I want to kind of rework major NPCs, or like named NPCs, like the ringleader. So the ringleader is now going to be set up much more like a rare named mob, meaning that the ringleader is where you're actually going to see some rare grade items drop. And again, the reason for that is the ringleader is not a guaranteed spawn. The ringleader is, is a campable NPC, but the spawn rate is low and all that. So if we kill the ringleader, then we'll take a look at what we've gotten. So we got the notched great axe. So in this case, we got one of his uncommon items. So this is a, you can look at the stats and see this is a really nice weapon. But it's an uncommon weapon. It's not a rare. So if this were a rare great axe, it would be even stronger than this. Let's just throw it on here for a sec. Get our bladed baseball bat back out. I'm level 4, yeah. Oh yeah, I always forget. Not being in combat is gonna starve my readiness. Will axes get fixed by EA? You mean the animations? Probably not. What I really, really want to get fixed by EA is the weapon disappearing. It disappears when I use Strike of Breaking. No, okay. Oh, look at that. It's the other one. I didn't see them there. Fitted banded belt. So this is the only place you can get that fitted banded belt from that set. Off of this uncommon NPC. Now, dialing in spawn rates, dialing in things like that, making sure they're rare enough to be, where we want them to be and all that. But yeah, that's that's kind of the paradigm moving forward. Now, I've already also done the undead runes, right? I need the shaman. So shaman probably need to be added to the scuffed gear as well. Clerics probably do as well, in addition to the grassweave stuff. I can fix that. But skeleton runes are done the same way. So what that means is you've got the brittle bone casters. You've also got the brittle bone knights. They now also have their own. This is not okay though. This is one of the uncommon NPCs. So I mean it's a great case in point to say these are probably their spawn chances probably need to be brought down a little bit because they are meant to be rare because they do, but it's the same thing. These guys will always drop an uncommon item once you find them. In this case, it was a caster version. You could tell because of the staff they were holding. The melee version of this uncommon NPC doesn't have a spawn with the staff, but here's a +1 wisdom cloak. And even though these two sets, so like keep this in mind too, I could have just copied and pasted the set pieces, these pieces from the bandits, but I haven't done that. So when you move into here, I mean, there's a little bit more itemization they would have to make on the whole to pull this off, but now the scuffed set is the dirt-ridden set. So there's going to be a difference between what you can get where, and there's also built-in overlap and gaps. So there are things you get from the uncommon NPCs here if you're a caster. There's things you can get from the uncommon NPCs that spawn here that the uncommon in the other camps don't drop. But if you're able to get your hands on both, then you're able to fill in even more of those slots. The other cool piece of this change moving forward is once you start getting into level 10, meaning once you get into the Goblin Caves primarily and then move on from there, we're going to be reintroducing to our named NPCs rare and ultra rare loot. And ultra rare will be very, very low drop chance. But one of the things that stuck with me from some of the conversations that I had yesterday and the feedback that was so good is we want to bring back that feeling of, I think it was Kuros that said this. If it wasn't, I apologize if I'm not remembering who it was, but I think it was Kuros that said this, that when you're going through the level range and you're progressing on a character, these uncommon pieces that provide you a little bit of stat attributes, these should be things that as you're doing group related content, if you're completing quests is another place where uncommon gear will be able to be gotten. It's the perfect tier for like most quests. There will absolutely be quests that provide, a rare item reward or even a ultra rare item reward depending on the quest. But as you complete quests, as you do group content, Redbeard asked this question earlier, and I wanted to follow up on this. Even non-group NPCs have a very low chance to drop some of this uncommon tier stuff. So it's not out of the question that you wouldn't be able to get a piece here and there, like just fighting normal skeletons or things like that. It's just much more likely that you'll get it from the group NPCs. But the ringleader right now is an example. Rattlecage is an example of these major named NPCs that have a chance to drop rares. Once you get into the Goblin Caves, though, from that point on, and I'm talking like Spirit Manor, I'm talking Gadai Fort, all that stuff. That's when the ultra rare drop will also be put into the loot table. And what I was going to say earlier is, as you're going through the game, you're going to start, next patch, and as EA kicks in, you're going to start kind of learning this uncommon tier and getting more familiar with this uncommon tier, it's the rares that you're going to be, kind of striving for. You want to do the bosses, you want to do the different things to try to get the rares, but it's the ultra rares that you're going to be like in the back of your mind, deep down in the pit of your soul, hoping to get. Yeah, this is what Curios was saying. I'm kind of like, it's close to verbatim, but you're kind of hoping against hope that this ultra rare thing drops. And if it does, the power of an ultra rare item is the kind of thing, and this is harkening back to like, there's a lot of WoW Classic built into this loot system, and I think it works really well with the kind of this hybrid of like EQ and WoW Classic that we're charting here, because the reason that items felt so bad in the ways they felt bad in WoW is because you didn't have, there was the level restrictions, the soul binding, all that kind of stuff. And, on the whole, our rare items and our ultra rare items and things like that, I think are going to sit much more in like an EQ-like sense in Pantheon, as more so than it did in WoW Classic. But the point being, if you do get your hands on one of these ultra rare items, it's going to be an item that you will potentially be able to bring with you for many, many, many levels. Like, it will be a while before you get to a point where there would be an equivalent upgrade. And even then, the goal is that you wouldn't necessarily upgrade automatically, but it would come down to things like, what are the actual bonuses on this item compared to this other item? So ultra rares are coming back into play. And the hope with all this is that, number one, it's going to solve this issue that players have right now, where it's like, I'm moving through the levels, I don't feel like I'm progressing, and you guys are saying that, everything's there, stats are working, all this stuff's in, but there's not enough itemization to do it. Now we are building in that layer of itemization that's going to help you guys as you quest, as you adventure. All of this is going to be true for crafting as well, which is what I wanted to reiterate. And that's something Neff is working on too, which is in the same way that you're coming out and you're getting these dropped pieces of uncommon gear, there needs to be uncommon and rare materials and schematics that are dropping from these same locations as well. And those meaningfully filling gaps that the adventuring stuff isn't. So you might be able to come back with, 3 or 4 pieces of grass weave from fighting these skeletons, from fighting the bandits. The skeletons would be the worm-eaten equivalent. But you still have many slots that you haven't filled out yet, and that's where, that interplay between crafting and adventuring all along the way, where, is it going to be a rare item that drops, or is it going to be a rare crafting recipe that you pay for and have a crafter make for you? It's going to finally all kind of come together, and it's going to feel really good. So, but I want to say again, like, the reason that, and this, I'm just like, we do things here very openly, right? I'm not gonna claim that something was my idea when it wasn't. I'm not gonna claim that we were on the right track if we weren't. And the reason that's important is because regardless of what your interpretation or your opinion of that discussion that was had yesterday, it's because of that discussion, it's because of all of the conversation that led up to it and all the conversation that flowed from it. It's because of all the personal conversations I was able to have with so many of you. That is why we were able to ultimately find our way here. And it's one example of many where, building this game in an open format, not everybody's going to agree. Not everybody is even going to hear and see these things and be like, oh, well, this fixes it. Everything's great. But I do believe that we are finding better solutions. We are landing in better places, and we're ultimately improving our ability to resonate with as many people who we are trying to resonate with by doing it this way. We're not going to resonate with everybody, and that's great. But We are improving our ability to resonate with the people we're trying to resonate with, which obviously is all of you. So I'm happy. I'm pleased. Now, there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do because this level is what I want to see everywhere. Not only in the current zones, but obviously in the 3 new ones we're putting out. And you guys can only imagine. I mean, Wild's End is absolutely massive. Wild's End is absolutely massive. And the amount of content, the amount of camps, the amount of NPCs. But this is how it all needs to be set up. This is how the game needs to feel. When you go out to adventure, when you go out to look for crafting recipes, when you accept a quest, like, this is what is missing right now to feel like I'm going to be rewarded in a way that feels meaningful by doing this. And the goal between now and EA is to, yeah. Jindashi says, I followed the game since 2014. I hope I'm the type of person you're trying to resonate with. This last patch was a giant step backwards. I agree that it feels that way. Do you understand the plan and the path forward as I just laid it out? And are you saying that you are not resonating with this approach? No, patching is not done until EA. We've got, I think, 1 more in the tank. What class got nerfed? What are you talking about? Like, which class are you talking about specifically? Fade still? Let's see. Let's do a dagger. Axe, and a great axe. It's still dagger, 2.5 delay, 4 damage. Fade still battle axe, 3.2 delay, 6 damage. Fade still reaver, 4.2 delay, 14 damage. They're not going to be the same as live because, you know, we've made the adjustments to damage and delay. I want to check this though, make sure that these have been adjusted. Hold on. I can verify that these are the numbers they should be. 1 sec. 4 damage, 2.5 delay. Where do these drop again? Are these what drop from the Spirit Manor? The basement of Halnir Cave. Okay, hold on. What is the current? Can somebody tell me what the current? Yeah, well, first of all, these I can tell you right now, all of these have been set up, tuned to common tier. So these are all treated as common tier right now. So if I were to change these to uncommon, this at least the damage would change, and then there would likely at this level be, you know, a stat or 2 on them. 3 damage, 1.9 delay. Yeah. So the uncommon version of this would be, I think, 5 damage. No. It would be 6 damage. 6 damage, 2.5 delay. Can you talk about healing? It seems no one wants to heal, only DPS. I think this is going to hurt early access. I want to heal. I love healing. Thank you for those bits, Dementor. Dementor says, nice to see, would be nice to see a change to the summoner spell that just came in that summons up to 3 dagger things and then you release them to do damage. I think it would be a better option to have the normal casting swarm spell have a chance to add stacks of those daggers and then you release them with the instant class ability, or have the pet have an option to cause you to get stacks of that and you can release them instead of having just one more spell that you're casting. That's fair. By the way, Redbeard, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. Sorry I missed that earlier. Got, hold on, I'm gonna see our Sanguine Warrior, thank you for the follow. Our Sanguine Warrior Drake, I already got you guys the famous 11 Steam Crush, Nacho Cheese, Time Riot, Latham. Thank you all so much for the follows. Thanks for being here. I hear you on that feedback, Dementor. We can take a look at that. I did turn off TTS just because I had a lot I was going to be trying to go over there and explain. So yeah. But yeah, the fade steel stuff is not the best example because I haven't changed those to the right tier yet. When you guys say that, here, I'm struggling with this one. Bow staffs are worse than one-handed equivalents, but are you guys are also factoring in that bow staffs have innate double attack, right? The bow staff proc is getting hit with the offhand penalty right now. It should not. Ah, okay. Yep. There you go. There you go. This 35 gold bow staff has 3 damage. What? MREBs, they likely will at higher levels, yes. Yeah. Let's see. So, to give you an example, one of the new monk items that I've added is just today actually is a weathered baton. So it's the first baton weapon. It's actually usable by warriors and rogues as well. But so this baton is 4 damage, 2.5 delay. So it's the same delay as a dagger, does 4 damage, has +1 agility. This is like an uncommon item that you can find in the lower levels. If we were going to compare this to the trainee bow staff, I guess from Vendor. Five damage, 3.5 delay. Now this is a common tier, so got to keep that in mind as well. Yeah. So this is has a second longer delay than the baton. It's got a point more damage and it hits twice. Soldiers, bow staff. $3.5 delay, 7 damage. Hold on. Yeah. It's a common tier bow staff. That sounds right. An uncommon tier equivalent of that. Well, here's an example. And again, this is based on current tuning, but for this soldier's bow staff, for example, common tier at this level range, this is correct. 7 damage, 3.5 delay for a bow staff. An uncommon version of a bow staff around this level range would be 8 damage, 3.5 delay. A rare version would be 9, and an ultra rare would be like an ultra rare would be 12. These are rough numbers. They're not always going to follow that same paradigm, like surgically speaking. There's going to be exceptions, some a little lower, some a little higher. And it's possible that, you know, rares, like what we consider rare, should be even stronger, and ultra rares even stronger, that kind of thing. So there's still room to kind of play with some of that. But that's, as of where we are right now, that's kind of where these things are landing. Crazy Brace. No, it's not. But the key is, with every, and again, these are internally speaking, but with every tier that they go up, so that rare bow staff that has 8 damage, let me find it again. I'm sorry, that rare bow staff that has 9 damage versus the common's 7, that rare bow staff also has, let me find it. That rare bow staff can also have up to 3 attributes attached to it in any combination. It can be like +3 strength. It could be like +2 agility, +1 dex. It could be +1/+1/+1. It could have 3 attributes attached to it, and up to 10 of a different bonus, like a resist, or, you know, straight health, or something like hit rating or haste rating or something like that. So as you step up in the rarity, you're not only increasing the damage, but you're also introducing additional attributes and things like that. Oh, and I'm correcting myself again. I overlooked this part of the chart. You're also going to see reduction in delay. So let me walk this back, okay? So it's a small detail, right? How does the delay actually change too? Okay, so using the soldier's bow staff, 3.5 delay, 7 damage. The uncommon tier is going to go to 3.4 delay, 8 damage. Rare, 3.3 delay, 9 damage. Ultra rare, 3.2 delay, 12 damage. So ultra rare is going to be cooking. Because then when you factor in things like haste, this is, I think, there's another point, I can't remember if it was Lewin or Kuros made yesterday, but like if you go back and look at EQ, the delay component was so important that you would see like tens of thousands, if not, you know, close to 100,000 or more difference in like cost for items, even with just incrementally less delay. And so our hope in increasing the overall delay of like increasing those delays back up more. What am I saying? Making weapons slower again, a little slower, that gives us room to make delay more meaningful. So the difference between a 3.5 delay and a 3.2 delay is going to really matter, especially when haste gets involved, because you're going to be able to start bringing a bow staff under a 3-second delay, which again, when you factor in the fact that it's double attacking and all that, it all just kind of factors in together. So. Treyu, yes, they will definitely have different stats and different amounts of stats at different level ranges. Yes, the rarity matters, but the level also matters. Yeah. You guys think that rogue auto attack damage should follow strength? Really? I'm sorry. Guys, I'm tired. Do you guys think that rogue auto attack damage should follow dex? Okay. Are you sure? It should follow int. That would be great. So dexterity governs your chance to hit, and it governs your critical hit chance. And it does that for everybody. So it's the same for a rogue, it's the same for a warrior. Your dexterity is governing how your chance to critically hit, and your chance to get a critical hit, and your chance to hit. Strength is governing your damage output, and it's governing your auto attacks. So if we made rogue auto attacks scale off dex, now you're getting hit chance, crit chance, and damage through a single stat. In the same way, warriors, if they want to increase their chance to hit or increase their crit chance, warriors have to raise their dexterity. They don't do all of that through strength. So instead of piping everything through a singular stat, even though I'm not arguing that it doesn't, there isn't, logic obviously in attaching it to dex, because dex is like a core key attribute for rogues. But what it does is, like backstab, for example, if we want backstab to scale off of strength, or at least have a component of backstab that scales off strength, and auto attack and melee damage is also scaling with strength, that makes strength a much more interesting choice for rogue classes. Like take the uncommon itemization we were just looking at. The scuffed armor that gives strength and stamina, and the fitted bandit armor that gives agility and dexterity. It's possible that a rogue, especially depending on the race, if a rogue has really high starting dex, for example, at this level, they might opt to go with the strength items because they want to get, that extra damage. And so it helps kind of make how players itemize a little bit more interesting. And it keeps any single stat from being overweighted to such a degree. I also think, I do think it would be cool if our game was set up a little bit differently. I think it would be cool to do something like a weapon-based thing, where certain weapons scale off of certain attributes. But again, the problem with that ultimately, with the way that our game is set up, is that it would very much lead to it would limit your freedom. It would force you down certain paths. If my charisma is high enough, can I romance a king or queen and rule the land? That'd be pretty cool if you could. That'd be pretty cool. Doesn't the itemization now force you down particular paths? How so? What do you mean? Seems like building readiness is really slow. Can you time using your skills and how long it takes for you to build readiness? We will. We knew going into the delay change that it could potentially make us need to kind of revisit readiness gain to offset that. So it's something we're looking at. I mean, it is definitely something we're looking at. It is going to impact readiness. The thing of it is, when we reduced weapon delay, we didn't change readiness at all. And so with reverting back to the weapon delay that we had before, we're back to kind of what readiness was before we reduced weapon delay. So it's actually, we've been here before, and I think because everyone's used to faster weapons and therefore faster readiness regeneration, it feels a little weird. It just feels a little different, a little off. It may be, but just letting you guys know. Will we see a similar balancing process for casters, and is there a plan to adjust in case melee or caster DPS is outperforming the other? Yeah, well, I mean, casters also are needing and will benefit very much from this kind of this uncommon tier that will help them scale and progress more naturally. Yeah, I think casters and their readiness will be less affected than melee for the most part. But yeah. Yeah, totally will be class exclusive armor, yeah, and weapons for sure. Like the way I tend to think about it is at lower levels the items will trend towards being more broad, and then as you get higher level and we get a much better overall saturation of itemization, those will get more and more. Not that we'll eventually get to the point where every item is only one class usable or anything, but we'll start to see a lot more of class specific gear or a much tighter band of classes that can use it. Monk's primary role is DPS, so I would say on the whole a monk is going to be looking to maximize their DPS output as much as possible, but the off tanking is something that monks definitely have kit suited for. So, I could see them, but it's a balance, right? Because if you go all strength, then a lot of your abilities that scale off of agility index are going to suffer. So the point is, like, these are decisions for you to make, and ultimately it's that fun kind of like science that you do with a game where you realize, like, okay, this is a good amount of strength to have. This is a good amount of dex, good amount of agility. If I want to lean particularly into, a certain, I'll give you an example. One of the ability types we don't have right now is buffs or abilities that augment your auto attacking. either by making your auto attacks do more damage, making your auto attacks cleave, adding damage to the next auto attack that you do, a la like Heroic Strike and WoW. We don't have anything that currently haste. Yeah, again, haste. That's one of the things we have to get done this week is fix haste, because we've been having issues with both haste and slow, to where they don't really feel like they're doing really much of anything that they should be. So we got to get that fixed. But once we get more abilities like that in and buffs like that in that are actually augmenting and improving auto attack, it could very much be the case that you might have certain monks that choose to maximize strength as much as they can because they prefer that playstyle. They've got good weapons, they've got good haste, and they're going to be, filling out their bar with those abilities, as opposed to monks that are more like skill and ability heavy, and so they've weighted a lot of their gearing towards dex and agility, which is directly, empowering more of, their combat abilities, and they have their action bar kind of loaded out differently. That's my ultimate goal. And then again, are you a hand-to-hand? Are you a staff monk? Are you a one-handed blunt monk? Seeing these things kind of change is what I'm excited to see. Monk skills are based on strength and constitution. Yeah, some of them are. I would like to see a better kind of mixture, if you will. Tectron, I think so. I think we'll end up doing something like that. We'll probably, just to keep Twinking from getting absolutely out of control as well, we'll probably also have like a cap on like outgoing damage. Something very similar to what EQ had. So, from level 1 to 10, you're capped at the highest amount of outgoing damage that you can do. So you don't have level 1s doing, 500-600 damage a round kind of thing when they have all these buffs and cooldowns and consumables and stuff active. And then as that cap will eventually go away once you get to a certain point, like level 20 or something like that. Kingdom Thrill. I am going to see if we can possibly get the lighting stuff done before EA. I don't know if we can. I mean, honestly, what I'm going to ask for is just like, hey, can we get light sources to show up from the inventory? Can we get light sources to show up from the inventory? And if you've got a torch and it's in your inventory, it's not in a bag, but it's like actually in one of your inventory slots, then your torch is on. If we can do that, then I think that's a good enough change for EA. Because yeah, we've got to get people able to use their hands. Yep. We will probably do a slot eventually. I need to talk to Steve and see what he ultimately thinks will take the most. But you guys, that's the thing. Like, this week is kind of the last week that we have to add mechanics and still give ourselves time between the first and the start of EA to like test. So Steve is currently in the deep end, no pun intended, of trying to get swimming finished. There's still some polish and some various things we need to do there, and just general fixes. The next most important thing, more important than lighting to me, that I've asked Steve to do is to add the cast bar, the enemy cast bar, to the offensive target window, and to redo how we do our group frames when you're in a group, so that you're only seeing health and mana. You're not seeing endurance, you're not seeing readiness, you're not seeing class resource, and making those bars bigger, just a little bit easier and cleaner. And then cleaning up how we handle buffs and debuffs, showing, making those more legible. Like, that readability in combat is really, really important. So that's the next thing. So if he's able to get swimming and those things finished, then it's like, okay, let's do the light thing. If not, then you know, it'll just be a post EA start thing. Treyu, 100% agree. Yeah. That's an interesting idea, Finn. And yep, made a note. Bacon, we might down the road incorporate it back in when we have like better handle on our UI art and all that. But I think right now the amount of like the size of those bars and the amount of information that they're trying to show, when at the end of the day, like what the information that you really need is health and mana, and having those bars be able to be bigger and clearer. I'd like to put like a percentage, a numerical percentage on the bars as well, so you can see at a glance like the percentage of life and the percentage of mana that somebody has. If somebody doesn't have a mana pool, then it would just show the life. It would just be the life only. And then cleaning up and resizing like the buffs and the debuffs and kind of moving those around a little bit. There's a lot of clarity that we can get. And it's a big point of feedback we're getting right now is clarity in combat gets really hard in a lot of cases. So I want to try and emphasize things that are going to help clean that up. Yeah, Clanton, that's a funny one because people that have been around here for a long time, well, probably don't even have to think back that far, where our crits were actually like critting for less than auto attack hits. So we've done some changes over the last few months to try and improve that, but I don't disagree necessarily that it could be improved even more. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it matters, because if you want crit rating and crit chance and all those things to feel like a meaningful stat, but crits are so wet noodleish as they can be, then why would you? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, to me, that's the easiest way to do it. Like, a critical hit is like pre-warms a max damage hit roll and then adds a bonus on top of that. But I think there's an issue. I think the issue we've had is like when the roll amount actually gets calculated, that we still need to solve for. I don't know. Mark knows better than I do. He remembers better than I do. Yeah, it's definitely a programming issue. Yeah, it's just the way it's the way all the damage calculation code and like the timing of the damage calculations, and then when critical hits are determined and when bonuses are applied and how mitigation relates to all that. Like it's one of those things that seems simple, and I mean it's not like super complex, but it definitely we still need to fully solved that. Feeling good about the 13th? I'm feeling excited about the 13th. But I'm thinking about all the things that have to be done. The thing that scares me the most, which it just drives me, it's driving me to get these things done. I mean, but the thing that gives me the most concern is making sure that what I just showed you today is reflected throughout the game as a whole. And I'm not just talking about the itemization changes. I'm also talking about the camps, like the content, and that there's at least enough quests that you start to you're able to start to feel some congruency in this growing world, if you will. Like, I want there to be, I mean, I have it written down, like an idea for a quest that starts in Wild's End, sends you to Dimith, and then ultimately, concludes, for example, like in Sky Durban and Silent Plains. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I want to make sure there are some of those in there. And of course, the rewards for things are really nice as well. But I want there's got to start being this sense of like, this is a world, like the people in these areas are aware of one another. There's traveling through the world to different known places that are implied in the understanding of like the inhabitants of this world, things like that. Because the world's going to grow a ton, guys. I mean, this is a hefty addition of world size that we're about to pump out. Those are the kind of things that make me really excited. But yeah, there's a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. Hey, Z01, thanks so much for that. I appreciate that. That's awesome to hear. Really, really good. Yeah, Carpathia, yeah, you nailed it. Stormbear, no, this is not the full 1.0 release of the game. This is the start of early access, which is us still being heavily in development, but it's a milestone of a significant amount of the game being in place, significant enough that we're ready to kind of just open the doors and continue the development process, but doing so with enough of the game. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of hours, and will be even more, once EA begins of gameplay here. And it's kind of the next step of embracing the open development process of the game by, seeking to grow the community, get more and more people in and playing and aware that are excited about what Pantheon's becoming and kind of helping us shape that. So it's the full 1.0 release is still some time away, but this is kind of the next major step in getting us there. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Glad it's hopefully on your radar now though. It's exciting. Summoner weapons win. Hopefully soon. That's part of the on the road to EA stuff that we're working on with the summoner as we're doing like the various class updates. Yeah, AK, I do. Oh, Trexid, you reminded me of that at the perfect time. Where do we want this bindstone to be in Avelia? Right now, it's across the water. Ultimately, I'd like I think I mentioned before, like what I would like to do, most likely, is have an area like where this tree is up here and kind of flatten this little ridge out a little bit more. Kind of, I mean, honestly, what I would probably do is take this terrace out and just have the terrain naturally kind of flow down here to this point here, but with this terrace out of the way, just put the bindstone right there. Behind the pond to the right of the bridge. Behind the pond to the right of the bridge. Are you talking about the pond right here? This pond? To the right of the bridge. Like maybe in this little area right here? I feel like the only problem with this spot is that it's so close to the undead camps that it's like just yeah, too close to skellies. If we go up top, then we start running into some hobgoblin activity up here. We could always zone over the monk area. Next to the named fox, yeah. Just replace the well with the bindstone. What if I just, like, for now, what if I just, like, kind of stuck it, like, right there? Or I think somebody else mentioned, like, maybe, but, I mean, might have to move Wilbur out of the way, but I think right here would be good, too. This is probably the best spot if we just slide Wilbur over a little bit. Down inside the well. Yeah. Just set it right on top of Wilbur. Okay, let's do that. Let me do that real quick. Let's go ahead and do it live. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to call it a day. Go eat, and get ready to lock back in. Okay. Let's do this. He's now the guardian of the stone, yeah. When Wilbur woke up this morning, he didn't realize that his true destiny would be revealed. Bring you over here. rid of this for a second. Where did it go? Oh, I was on the wrong ledge. There it is. Okay. This is a cool little gizmo. This is the radius here. This is the little circle that you respawn in when you come back to this bind point, and this is the direction that you will face. There it is. Okay. It is done. It is done. If I could add any race. Mm-hmm. Hello? TF1. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. Hold on a second. Good day. Two. Good day. Didn't I just drag that over here? Am I losing my mind? Yes, but just embrace it. That's good advice, actually. Okay, let me think. Let's figure this out. We've got 3 Bindstones in Thronefast. We've got the Gadai, which is over here by the gate. We've got we've called it Seville, even though I don't know why we've called it Seville, but we did. And that's here. Now this is Bindstone 3. Yeah, which is they're all interconnected, which means they all need to be interconnected, which means that I think this maybe I duplicated it and didn't even register that I duplicated it. This tower. It dies. It's TF1. So this is Wiz Tower. So we need to make this. And we need to get rid of this. Now we have our 3 bind spots. This one. Nevalia. It is connected to this bind stone, which is using the Innovalia bind location, which is correct. But we will test this. We must test this. What's up, Rob? All right, let's see. So that's done. Now let's exit. What happens to people who have no bind point? Because they were bound at the old place. Rob, what happens to people who were bound somewhere when the bind location changes? They open a support ticket. I like it. They are yeeted into the abyss. Yeeted. BlackRock's no. Oop. Make a note of that. I mean, does anyone even use that bind stone though across the water? Except for Tumadin, of course. I mean, yeah. I did on accident. Did I see your first message? No. I probably did not. It's it's easy to miss specific messages. If you're talking on stream, if you send me a message on Teams, I can look. I think they still are. Except I am no longer able to log in to the servers, so hold on. 1 second, chat. Okay, we're back. Oh, was I bound there? No. I mean, I don't no, I don't think so. If EA is wildly successful, like we all hope it is there a chance the team size grows to help take some stress off everyone and to help move development forward faster? I'm not sure how to strongly enough respond to that with a oh good grief yes. Like in fact, I would go so far as to say I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know how much longer I could do this if we can't figure out a way to grow. It is that intense. It's that intense. So yes, and in my mind, again, I'm not the holder of the, I'm not the purse holder here, but yeah, I mean, priority number one is making sure that the current team is stable, We don't want to lose anyone else. We don't want to lose anyone that we have right now. We want to make sure the current team is stable. I would say, and again, this is me, guys. This is from my mind, my heart, this is where how I would answer the question. That's priority number one. Priority number two is doing what we can to bring back any of the contracts that we paused, to get them, back here again. And then number three is to grow, to continue to grow. So, okay. I know that they're world items, but the world items still have a graph associated with them that has the location marker that corresponds to the location in Odin. And I'm almost positive that it still uses this. Just based on setting ones up recently and changing some around. But if I can figure out if I can get back into the game here, we can test it and see. Ogre 2, thank you so much for the tier 1. For the 6 months of support. Appreciate that. I mean, well, never mind. I'll just test it. But I mean, I just, don't they need to have a way to know, like, what, like, you set it up as a world item, that's fine, but there's nothing telling the world item, like, I mean, it's still giving you the message. Has that message been hard-coded now? Mm. I would absolutely love for Asmongold to give it a fair shake. And what I mean by a fair shake is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, but I feel like the last time he did a video, the 2 times that he's done a video on the game, he's been reacting to, I think the first one was Nathan, which I love Nathan and I love his videos, but I don't know that it gave him the best, like, I don't know that it was the best take for him to react to. And I also, knowing like kind of the state that the game was back in then, how things looked and various things, I'm not sure. But then the second one he did was, I think, responding to a Narc video, and the Narc video was, pretty rough. And so I think, there's just something to be said for matching energy there, where he's watching a video that's pretty rough on Pantheon, pretty rough indeed, and kind of matching energy with that. Even though some of the information, I mean, it's not like some of the things that Narc was saying weren't just like factually accurate in terms of how long development has gone and some of the things like that. So, so what I would love, obviously knowing that he has no obligation to do so, and who knows? But it would be really cool for him to. But I don't even know what I like other than playing the game for himself, which would be there would be a lot of ways for that to go sideways too, because I mean obviously it's a group-based game, and it's there are going to be some polish points and some things that would show right off the bat that I think would be difficult to would make it a little more difficult for him to get past. And I'm talking about Asmongold right now, but I'm also talking about I would apply the same things that I'm saying right now to anybody. If we're talking about Lazy Peon, if we're talking about, I don't know, who else? If we're talking about Josh Strife Hayes, if we're talking about, I don't know, anybody in this space that's of a comparable size. So don't hear me saying these things specifically about Asmongold as much as I'm talking about just anybody who would potentially be able to leave some kind of a positive influential mark. I would love to see that. I would love for them to give, once Pantheon launches, I'm sorry, once EA launches and gets started, I think it'd be awesome to see them actually give the game a try. And I agree with the reason I started saying this at first is because it doesn't even need a glowing recommendation. It doesn't even need a glowing recommendation. Because by giving it a fair shake, they're going to be able to approach it from the mindset of, hey, this game's not for me, but I can see where this game would be, amazing for the kind of person that is into this kind of stuff. That's all it has to be. There needs to be, number one, a recognition that this is not a scam, because unfortunately that Pantheon has been in development through an era where that label is very warranted in some cases, but it tends to be kind of sloppily applied. Has our development been inept at times? Absolutely. Have we made mistakes? Have we done things that have set us back? Yes. Is it a scam? Absolutely not. So that's one thing that needs to be kind of corrected, and I hope will continue to be corrected as we move on. But then beyond that, it's being able to recognize what the game is, what it's not, but what it is. And the interesting thing to me has been Ashes of Creation is an absolutely phenomenal game. It's gorgeous. It's got a vision. It's got really cool systems that it's doing. And I know that the majority of the people that are following Ashes and excited about Ashes are going to love the game. What's been interesting to me is hearing from so many people that play multiple MMOs, people that are interested in Pantheon, also interested in Ashes. And because I can tend to I can tend to be affected by my own calculus of man, how would Pantheon ever compete with anybody in anybody's mind versus something like Ashes that's gorgeous, has so many of these kind of things going on, just a solid game, solid team, all this stuff. How could we ever? And in reality, I've heard multiple people say hey, I love Ashes, but I really love Pantheon. And it's kind of caused me to have to do this forced, wake up. You're making something here that really matters to people. You're making something here that can and is at least on track to become something that can hold its own. So I think we've got to climb out of this meme. We've got to climb out of this meme era of Pantheon. Pantheon has to climb out of this meme era. I appreciate a good meme like anybody else, and there's plenty to reminisce about and enjoy with Pantheon and its journey here. But we got to climb out of that era, and I think there are a good amount of people out there who would really and I say that because there's enough going on in Pantheon that is reminiscent of a classic WoW kind of feel as well. the best parts of classic WoW, not the parts that started to veer it into this weird, not weird, but veer it, kind of in the direction we're intentionally avoiding. But that fusion, that hybrid fusion of EverQuest and classic WoW, I really do think there's lightning in a bottle there, that I think people will really resonate with. So, yeah, we'll see. We will see. I didn't expect to go on that, but yeah, I would love for Asmund to give it another shake, give it a fair shake. I'd love for Lazy Peon. I'd love for any of these people to do it if they can do it. If they can, and they have no obligation to do this. So who knows what mentality they would have. But if they can look at it without the meme lens, if they can actually leave that part of it alone, then it would be really interesting to me to see what they'd say. Super excited for Ko to give it a try, yeah. Super excited. Nice, Finn. That's good. That's encouraging. Is Rob still here? Yeah. Rob, can you tell if something's up with the servers? I can't connect to dev or design. Oh. Look on Teams. Thanks, man. Yeah, tasty graph. I mean, I can't argue with that. Yeah, I can't argue with that. I mean, I think the one potential exception would be whether or not that group based gameplay, the addition of like having like the death penalty in play, things like that kind of do fundamentally change the experience compared to what most MMOs are. At least the current selections. That's just, I mean, we just have to see. Like it's something we haven't had in such a long time. And I understand saying that things like death penalty, things like, the challenge level group play, I understand that those are things that can equally alienate people too. So I'm not saying that those things are like, because of this, like it's going to be more successful. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that the potential for people to see it as something different than just another run-of-the-mill average MMO could come down to some of those things, which are not average, which are not run-of-the-mill. And that could resonate with people, Zeratel, thanks so much for the Prime sub. Appreciate that. Skajorda, Desanguius, thank you for the follows. Viticus, Nina01, Z01, Alex the Toppy, thank you for the follows. Thanks for the bits, Logen. Yeah, Tasty Graph, just to respond again to one of the things you were saying earlier, the changes we're making with itemization right now actually are pretty well inspired by some of the classic WoW itemization. Not all of it. We don't have level restrictions. We don't have soul binding. And I think in general, our itemization is a little more impactful. EA is going to bring some pretty significant changes to itemization, I think, to kind of help a lot of that. And subsequently will help shorter play session progression, which is a big deal. I absolutely respect that point of view. I mean, the game respecting your time, it's a big deal. So we get into that here. Guard the Dark Mirror, thank you so much for the 10 gifted. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. We absolutely do need to grow the game. We absolutely do. And but in saying that, it's really important to be clear that that does not mean that doesn't mean making all kinds of like concessions and changes and whatnot to ultimately like just make Pantheon look like everything else that's kind of come before. It means embracing the things that make us different, understanding that that is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but also embracing various accessibility points that I think are part of what made WoW so successful. And what I mean by successful is successful in like adopting new players and converting new players. They were very successful at converting a lot of players from EverQuest and bringing a lot of new players into the genre because they did a lot of things really well that made the game accessible enough. And rose-colored glasses or like nostalgia, whatever you want to call it, we look back on classic WoW today and we think, man, WoW is so easy. Classic World of Warcraft was not so easy. There were a lot of deaths. There were a lot of, just think back to the first few times you tried to take down Hogger, like much less going through a lot of the, some of the early instances like Dead Mines and places that were actually really tough. And then you've got the really cool differences that Pantheon brings where it's open world, it's non-instance, you have a lot of this social factor going on. In some ways a more free-form explorable world and, some of the other quintessential things that made those classic era MMOs so important, so special. So I think the recipe's a winner. But yeah, we've got to get people interested in looking that deeply into it, and that's where it's going to be a challenge. It's going to take time. Yeah, Tasty Graph. What's so funny though? What's so funny is that I am more that way too. I don't know what it like. I love doing things like this. I love interacting with people at scale like this. But I am very much a soloer at heart. Like I gravitate more towards soloing personally when I play these games, and there is some of that affects kind of my thinking and decision making for the most part. But what's so interesting about that is my enjoyment of soloing comes from an EQ foundation. I enjoyed soloing in EQ. I did not as much enjoy soloing in WoW. And I think that's a very important distinction. And that's what we're trying to do here is recapture that, like, which we still have a ways to go, because like solo experience right now is really bad. Too bad. But that's what I want to try and capture is the free flowing ability that a lot of classes in EQ had to move from grouping to soloing and feel. I mean, it's so funny how this is argued so much in the context of Pantheon, but if you really think about it, like soloing in EQ was prevalent. There was a lot of soloing in EQ, and it was extremely satisfying. And none of us look back at EQ and say, man, EQ sucked because it was such a solo friendly game. None of us think that. In fact, we often use EQ to try and elevate, like, bringing back a group focused game, because it absolutely was. But you could solo so satisfyingly in EQ. And I think that's just a really important thing to remember and keep in mind, especially because, guys, it's the same way I used to feel about halflings in EQ. I couldn't stand playing a halfling. I didn't like halflings, but I loved that the world had halflings. I didn't like playing gnomes. It was not until way into adulthood that I could actually make an ogre and play an ogre character. But back in the day, I couldn't stand them, but I loved them being in the world. It's the same way you may hate soloing, but you really want them in the world because you want the world to be filled with people. You want the world to be filled with people. You want to, be running around the world like you want to have moments where you're going into South Corona with a group to fight treants and you see that there's a gnome necromancer there camping the treants. Like, that's part of it. And if you can't support some kind of a soloing population, then it's like pre-mades and guilds, they're going to be just fine because they've got people to pull from all the time. But all of the players that would be playing your game but can't because they can't find a group, what else are they going to do? They're just going to log off or go grind 1,000 mobs at level 15 just to ding. Like, that's, nobody wants to do that. So we can continue to make a group-centric, group-focused game, absolutely, without alienating or overly, crushing like the solo side of things. And again, I would just, if you're concerned about that, I would point you to EQ and say, the quintessential inspiration did it that way. Talk about plans for PvP. Yeah. I am a PvP like enthusiast. I love PvP. If I play an MMO, when I played an MMO, if it offers PvP, that's where I'm at. So that's first thing. I understand the desire for PvP because I have it as well. I'll say the same thing I said the other day. My plan for PvP in Pantheon is that it will be an uncurated experience. I'm not interested in balancing PvP in some kind of a surgical level so that you have battlegrounds and arenas and all of this like esport oriented PvP. I want PvP to be messy. I want it to be built on a foundation or kind of applied to the foundation of an open world game. And that's why when I think about PvP and Pantheon, I literally think about, other than putting maybe level caps on who you can attack, I think about Pantheon just having servers that have PvP turned on. I mean, that's ultimately what I think of. So I'm amazing at spinning. What am I spinning? Splinter Cell, I don't think you were here for the first part of this stream, because what I did was I went through the changes that went into this patch, and then the change. Okay, you just watched it. Okay, so you do understand that. What are you talking about? Like what nerf are you talking about specifically? Give me what give me a specific weapon. Rune carved hammer. Okay, guys, please, like this. I said this. If you were here from the beginning, you also heard me say this. His take is not a bad take. Like these are, yes. It may prove that I've already answered this question earlier and he missed it or she missed it. That's fine. Like if that's the case, so be it. But it's not a bad take, because what he's responding to is, number one, he cares about the game. Number two, he's feeling something that all of you have, a lot of you have also felt. Because before we had that call yesterday, and before I showed you what I did on the stream today, I bet there were a lot of you that were feeling similarly. So just to keep that in perspective, okay. Let me see if I can pull up this item. You called it the rune carved hammer. Let's take a look. Okay, what is the damage and delay of the rune carved hammer right now in game? $7.1.9. Okay. And what are the stats? Are these the stats on it? One con two is okay. With the changes that we're making right now, the damage delay of rune carved hammer. Now this is just looking at what it's been changed to in in data. So I need to look at the spreadsheet and make sure that this is accurate. But if you go back and listen to the beginning of the stream, and I'm not saying you have to, but if you've got, an hour to spare at some point, go back and listen to the first hour and a half of the stream. I don't just talk about, but I show the changes that we're making, not only to weapon damage and delay. So for example, the rune carved hammer, I'll show you right now in data, it is 10 damage, 2.6 delay. It's 2.6 delay because we have increased we have slowed down the speed of all weapons across the board. It's not just this weapon. All weapons across the board have had their delay increased and subsequently have had their damage increased to compensate and also increased a little bit beyond that. So this is what the rune carved hammer will look like once the next patch comes in. However, the other important note to sound is right now, there is no progressional itemization in the game. This last patch took all of the progressional itemization out of the game. That progressional itemization is necessary because without it, you're not getting any stat increases really anywhere except for, these specific kind of rare items that drop. So another thing that's going to change, hopefully by next patch, but definitely by the time EA comes out, is you will have many, many more opportunities through doing group content, quests, things like that, to get essentially uncommon tier items that give you stats up along the way. Right now, you're not getting incremental or progressional items that give you a point of strength or a point of wisdom or a point of stamina or things like that along the way. You're largely just getting common gear. So by the time you get up to level 10, level 20, you have very few attributes. Whereas now you're going to have a lot more options, and those uncommon items are going to be much more common, if you will. And then rare items and ultra rare items are going to get even stronger to compensate as well. So acquiring those will be even stronger upgrades. So again, I'm trying to what's the issue though? Is it weapon damage or is it spell power? Is it this item and the way this changed in the last patch, or is it the spell power change, the much larger spell power change that we made several patches ago? Are you saying your melee hits are less, or are you saying your spells are doing less because the wisdom provided by this item is not contributing to your spell power? Because, and I mean, yes, the current patch right now that you're playing, this weapon is nerfed. But what I'm showing you here is what this weapon is going to become. This delay is going to be what all one-handed weapons of this type are like. So it's going to be comparable in delay, and you're going to be having much more damage. Or I mean a higher damage rating. I mean, yeah, I respect the frustration. I respect what you're seeing. So I'm not trying to dismiss that. What I am saying, and the best thing I can say right now, is when we get this next patch out, let me know. Like I'm not trying to spin anything. We are genuinely trying to land our itemization in a good place. We are making swings, and understandably, that's causing. I'm not asking you to trust. I'm not. That's not how I'm meaning to say it. I'm just saying, as you see these iterations come out, we're trying to get somewhere, and what we're trying to do is make things feel better, not worse. That's what we're trying to do. That's it. I mean, the changes that we're trying to make, we're not trying to make anybody upset. We're not trying to make anyone personally feel attacked or upset. We are trying to make it better. And Splinter, listen, like, I know that you're talking to other people in the chat, but you're also talking to me. And what I'm telling you is I hear you. I respect what you're saying in that the feedback matters. We are trying. We are genuinely trying. That's why I said if you want to go back and watch the beginning of the stream, I do go into this in detail. We are trying to land this, and I do believe, I can be wrong, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but I do believe that the next round it's going to be improved. That's my hope. That's my expectation based on the changes we're making, and we'll, it's likely that we might have to do a few more rounds even from there to make it all the better. But anyway, it's all good. And just so you guys know, like, it's not like, you can call me a saint, but the reality is when people feel these kind of things, it's evidence that the game matters, right? That's a good thing. Yeah. I mean, that's like, everyone's going to express it differently. And, again, I have felt things with games and been a part of the development of games and waiting for games to be development where I have, I mean, I don't know that I would go as far as to say that I've raged, but I've been really, really upset. And it's difficult in situations like this because you feel these things really strongly and you want to be able to communicate it, and it's hard. It's hard to communicate it. Believe me, I know. It's hard to communicate things like this. I do it all the time, and it's still hard. But at the end of the day, if you're here, you're watching this, and you have strong feelings, it's because you care about this game. It's because you're playing this game, most likely, and that is a very good thing. That is a good thing. So that's the lens that I try to see things through. And it is what it is. Cheese is awesome. I wish that my stomach agreed. No, we do not have parasocial relationships. No. No. Like, no. For your sake, for mine, we don't have parasocial relationships. Now, most of you, if I were to meet you in real life, I would recognize your name, and I would absolutely love connecting with you in person and all that. But, yeah, I think that's the right way to say it, right? It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more than that because we're like deep on this journey together. So there's is a little bit more than just like your average streamer is just playing games and people enjoy watching it. Like we're trying to achieve something here from two different sides of the same coin. So it's there's but yeah. Splinter Cell, I appreciate it. I will do what I can. I mean the time that I have right now outside of like the time I spend on this stream is I will I'll see what I can do. But I do hear you and I do appreciate you being here and sharing your thoughts. Thanks, Hijax. Yeah, I mean I don't know. People are going to respond differently. I definitely understand, feeling like you're being flamed. I get that. But people are going to respond differently and ultimately like I said, um the reason I do this is to interact with you guys directly. If if you're trying to say something about the game, I am hearing it. And what I'm trying to say to you is that, and what I really want all of you to really hear, and I think hopefully I've shown today, but we'll continue to see it in action. But we are trying to address these things. The goal is absolutely not to nerf items and players and classes to the point where they feel unfun. Like that is like the absolute code red fire alarm that goes off for us when we start hearing things like that. Now we have to parse it. We can't just be jumping to every single person's interpretation of how things feel or how things are going. But the last thing we want is for the game to start feeling unfun or overly punishing or boring or like a slog. So we are very serious about not going that far. I mean, that yeah, I'll leave it at that. But I hear you. Guys, I really do need to be done. And I could do this all day. Like I love interacting with you guys. By the way, Oren, thank you so much. Sorry I missed that. The tier 1, 7 months. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Good to see you. And Marquise, thank you for the follow. Detoxic, thank you for the follow. Skajorda, if I missed it, thank you for the follow. Sorry if I missed anybody. Yeah, I'll fix Wilbur as soon as I can get back into the game here. I'm gonna go grab some food and then get back to it. Guys, thank you so much for the stream. Thanks for being here. Thank you for the stream. Yeah, thank you for being here for the stream. Thanks for all the feedback, the input. We'll keep going. I will be back again with you before Thanksgiving, so I should see you again probably tomorrow for a little bit. It'll probably need to be a shorter one tomorrow. My goodness, we've been going almost 4 hours. It's shorter, right? It's short. But I'll probably be back for a short one tomorrow. I'll wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving then. But take care. Have a good rest of your day. And we need to raid somebody. Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. I think we are going to absolutely bombard Zombie Slicer. Zombie Slicer has 1 viewer right now. Just checking to make sure. Zombie Slicer has 1 viewer. It looks like he's been streaming for almost 6 hours playing Pantheon. We're going to go give him some love, okay? All right, chat. Guys, thank you again so much. I will see you hopefully tomorrow. Until then, take care. Adios.